Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. Look at this headline. America on edge. This is Foster's Daily Democrat from the Seacoast. Doesn't that say it all? What happened this past week? A lot of uncertainty with the economy. We're going to talk to my resident economist, Russ Tiebout, in a minute. But first, let's go and look at some of the things that Trump proposes to do. These come from his senior policy advisor, Peter Navarro. Tax cuts, corporate rate from 35% to 15%, a moratorium on new regulations, lower energy costs on oil and gas. And now these. Increase exports and decrease imports. Infrastructure spending on highways and cities. Repeal the Affordable Care Act. The overall focus on economic growth. And that is what Mr. Trump proposes. With me to talk about this and maybe what some of the priorities ought to be is Russell Tiebout, President of Applied Economic Research right here in New Hampshire. Welcome.
Good to be here, Fred.
Nice to have you back.
Thanks.
When you were sitting there, Ross, watching the returns and you saw that Trump was going to win, you're an economist, so from a professional standpoint, what was your reaction?
Well, I think it's not economics as usual. For the last 5 or 6 years, actually, it's been kind of boring to talk about the economy. But with the kind of policies that Trump is talking about and the kind of promises that he made, 25 million jobs over the next 10 years, GDP growth averaging 3.5% growth in the economy. It's anything but business as usual in terms of the economy.
Out of those items that we just had up on the screen from his economic plan, what would you prioritize that would really cause the most growth?
I think the two items on there that are probably most significant for the economy are number one, tax cuts, because they put money into the consumers' pockets right away. And the tax cuts are substantial, a big drop in the corporate tax rate and tax cuts pretty much across the board for consumers as well. And the second thing is infrastructure spending, right, which also would have a big impact.
Right. A lot of criticisms of his plan from some economic forecasting firms that it would cost the economy $1 trillion, for instance, and another firm said it would cost 4 million jobs, and yet there are economists that say this plan couldn't work.
Well, it's really ironic. I mean, The Economist magazine this past week said that the repercussions of Trump's plan are enormous. And the very same day, Mark Zandi, an economist for Moody's.com that gets quoted frequently in the national media, said, it's not cataclysmic, it's not such a big deal. The bottom line is, we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. And that was reflected in the 12 hours after Trump's election became self-evident, when the stock market dropped 5% and then closed the next day, last Wednesday, up 1.5%. So we just don't know.
Let's look at this graph. Let me put it up on the screen. This shows that wages in this country, and this is a recent graph, are rising the fastest in years. So in reality, Russ, the economy is improving with wages rising and more jobs, but this is something that Trump has not acknowledged.
That's right, and it's also something that's not felt across the board. Wages are rising, but not for everybody. So there are a lot of blue-collar workers that have been hurt by trade policies in the United States, and we saw that in the election. Some of the Midwestern states that really turned the corner from being in the Democratic camp to the Trump camp as a result of the kind of job losses that were sustained. So wages on average are going up, but that doesn't mean they're going up for everybody.
What are you going to look for in this Trump presidency from an economic point of view? What are you going to look for in the next couple of years from this administration that you think would make a difference?
I think getting good quality jobs back onto the United States would be very important. Hitting some of those targets that he set, or coming close to hitting some of those targets that he set in terms of growth, in terms of job growth, in terms of wage growth, would be really significant.
Russell Tiebout, President of Applied Economic Research, thank you.
Thank you, Fred.